My name is Father Kevin McDonough. I've been the Chief Operating Officer of the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis since 1991. In the next few minutes, I'm going to lay out 4 principles that express our fundamental commitments in leadership. Each principle will also be accompanied by an example of its application. The first principle is this: our Archbishop clearly and consistently articulates a sense of mission. Both of the Archbishops under whom I have served have had a clear sense of mission, have never tired of articulating that sense, and have taken concrete steps to test mission effectiveness. Archbishop Flynn's articulation of the mission is simple and memorable: that the name of Jesus Christ be known and loved. He says it frequently and illustrates it with stories. How does he assess our effectiveness? Archbishop Flynn practices management by walking around. But the shop floor in which he walks is not the archdiocesan office. For example, he frequently takes Sunday afternoons to make phone calls to the homes of our sharpest critics. He hears them out, he offers an apology or a different perspective as warranted, and usually wins over a new ally in the mission. Now, in that process, he's also measuring the effectiveness of the pastoral care offered by pastors and by staff. The next 2 principles concern our parishes. Principle 2 describes what we expect from parishes. Principle 3 concerns how archdiocesan staff responds to parishes. Let's look at each one in turn. Principle 2 is this: the primary impetus and energy for pastoral care comes from our parishes. Pastors are responsible to know their own parish, to choose effective leadership, and to respond to pastoral needs consistent with the Archbishop's call to mission. Pastors are not expected to wait for the Archdiocese to tell them how to pastor. When we announce a new initiative or program, pastors have the right and the responsibility to implement the program in ways adapted to their own local reality. Permit me to give you an example. Starting in the 1970s, an influx of Hispanic immigrants gave us great challenges and great opportunities. We first chose the usual bureaucratic response, creating an archdiocesan office. But in 1992, we closed the office and used the funds to sponsor creative pastoral agents in existing parishes located in Hispanic population centers. Those agents, priests and many others, organized themselves into our Hispanic ministry leadership team. They identified other potential leaders. They coordinated among themselves to avoid duplication, and they advised the Archbishop about where else we ought to plant other pastoral agents. Since 1992, we've grown from 1 to 24 parishes with a weekly Spanish Mass or Masses and a relatively full range of other church services. The third principle is corollary to the second. The archdiocesan staff operates on the assumption that pastors and other parish leaders are intelligent, competent, and faithful. We do not believe that the Archbishop's staff is the repository of expertise in the Archdiocese. Rather, we acknowledge that most of the relevant pastoral expertise either already resides in the parishes or ought to and can. Our fundamental staff strategy is to provide forums through which expertise is shared among peers. For example, our education staff divides our schools into 3 groups: the top 10%, the middle 80%, and the bottom 10%. The education office staff do 2 things. Their main job is to find ways to have the top 10% and the middle 80% talking with one another. The second job of the archdiocesan staff is to design intervention strategies with the bottom 10%. Now, the final principle is this: much of the higher order work of the Catholic community is done through robust, autonomous, allied institutions, not through the archdiocesan corporate entity and staff. The Archbishop retains certain reserved powers, but those powers exist only to ensure the integrity of the Catholic identity of the institutions. The Archbishop and his staff do not own, control, or manage those institutions. Here is one example. As we were preparing for an archdiocesan capital campaign, our major donors told us they were afraid that we could not protect endowed funds given for the benefit of Catholic causes. So in 1993, we created an autonomous community foundation. The Archbishop guarantees the integrity of the Foundation's mission through powers reserved to the corporate members, like stockholders. But the remainder of the governance and the administration of the Foundation is truly independent of him. Donors now trust our Foundation. It has $150 million in invested funds, another $100 million in deferred gifts in the pipeline. These are the 4 principles that we believe contribute to excellence in diocesan leadership. First, the Archbishop clearly articulates our mission and tests our mission effectiveness. Second, we expect parishes to be the center of pastoral initiative. Third, Archdiocesan staff must act on the assumption that pastors and other leaders are intelligent, competent, and faithful. And finally, we look to robust, autonomous enterprises to carry out much of the higher order work of our Catholic community. What do you think? You are going to talk now about how all this applies to your diocese. We hope to learn from you as well. Enjoy your discussion.